Hi, my name is Sarita Siegel, and I'm a filmmaker. I've been making films for nearly 20 years now. So I hope you enjoyed watching The Disenchanted Forest. That was a film I made while I was living in America. We filmed in Borneo, in the rainforest of Borneo, and put the film together in America while I was living in San Francisco. The Disenchanted Forest is a film that, it was funny, I started a natural history film and ended with a film that followed themes that have traveled with me in my life, themes of culture. And the orangutan film was a very difficult film to make, with the way the rainforest was being obliterated and the culture of the orangutan. And I think for me, the idea of culture became more and more important in my work. A film that I did after that one was called Fire Babylon, and that has again followed on the themes of culture. And from that, again, we've come to the film that I'm currently working on, which is called Outspoken. Um, Outspoken it's an interesting film. I'm trying to bring together many cultures, I think, in the film Outspoken. It's following rap music, and it's following these musicians who are rappers, but who are also their heroes, their underdogs, their everything that I've always been interested in. But they're stepping up to the mic to speak up for their local people, for their national people, for their community, really. And I've just really, really got involved in their lives and what they're trying to put across in the music. So there's three rappers that I'm focusing on so far in this film, Outspoken. The first person is Tukupu. Tukupu is from New Zealand. He's a Maori activist. He was also one of the very first people to step up in the 1980s and begin rapping in the Maori language. And doing that in New Zealand at that time was pretty radical. Um, and I think we all think of him as a real maverick, a real person who stepped up and brought Maoridom back to New Zealand. Here's a little bit of Tukupu's work.
Māori had poetry, mai rā no, long ago, before time, we've had poetry. But now there's a new word that's come along called rap. We're Māori rapping, mai rā no, like long and long ago.
The first rap song I heard would have been Rapper's Delight. But it was a few years after that, though, that The Message and Grandmaster Flash came out. So I knew then that you can be political and sing about and rap about political things in this hip-hop rap music.
We ain't talking about any so-called justice connected to crew court rulers, learned fools, crusading colonial corruption. We're talking about true justice.
My lyrics, I've focused them so someone anywhere in any other country can hear them, listen to them, go, yeah, I can feel that. It's been constantly on my mind the whole time, looking globally at the resistance that's springing out of the hip-hop scene.
And you can see that today, Tukupu is still moving globally and looking to that resistance that he sees. He's going to be travelling with me next month to South Sudan. And we're going to pick up and film again with Emmanuel Jal, who was a child soldier and subsequently became a rapper when he escaped Kenya, went on to England and is now, I think, moving to Canada or trying to. We're going to be filming with him in his local community in Juba around the festival that he's having of music and sport. Tukupu's always looked globally, and I think he's still doing that by attending this festival. Emmanuel Jal's an amazing guy, and here's a little bit of his work.
I'm a Kushman, I'm from Kush. I'm a Kushman, a Kushman. I'm a Kushman, I'm from Kush. I'm a Kushman, a Kushman. I'm a Kushman, I'm from Kush. I'm a Kushman, a Kushman. I'm a Kushman.
I was born in the most difficult time. My country was at war then. I lost my home, that's politics. I became a child soldier, that's politics. I became a refugee, that's still politics. I'm still rapping now, talking about my story, that's still politics. So my life has been politics. and it's gonna be like that for a very long time.
And Jal is very true to his word. If you get online and look him up on Facebook, he just travels the world, and he's just everywhere all at one time, it seems to be. But there was one person in particular who was aware of Jal, our next rapper, in fact, Zeyar Thaw. He is a Burmese activist, and he started rapping as a very young man, and always followed what he could of the outside influences in hip hop, which actually wasn't very much. He used his rap to fight the current government and the regime in Burma. Zeyar Thaw got put in jail for almost 3 years for doing that, for actually using rap to fight against the government. He got out in the amnesties at the end of 2010. Early this year, he stepped up into the NLD, the political party that Aung San Suu Kyi runs, and he stood for the constituency of where the government is located, and he won. So he's gone from being a political prisoner to being in the Burmese parliament through using a mic. And here's a little bit of Zeyar Thaw's work.
I want to express the people's desire. So all I need is one mic, and that's why I put my tattoo on this.
So I guess you can see from these three characters that I'm intending upon following, I really like to follow stories of underdogs and people who can be seen as a hero, but people who perhaps wouldn't be heard with the way the world works at the moment if we didn't stop and listen, especially to a documentary. I've always loved documentaries. I came into documentary from an anthropology background, picked it up in America really, kind of learning as I went. I learned it very empirically. And I've been influenced, I guess, by many filmmakers, most of all possibly my ex-husband, Sarita Siegel. He taught me how to make film. And when we were making films in San Francisco, we'd sit and watch Fellini, we'd watch all the classic Hitchcock's, everything, a lot of feature film. Later, when I started realising that documentary was what I wanted to focus on, I probably would look more to filmmakers like Emmanuel Jal, thinking I needed to find a woman's voice, perhaps, which I never have found in my films. I struggle very much to make films about women's issues, really. So I think I've let go of that and continue just to focus on culture. But it's been a really hard journey in film, and I would never want to pretend that it's not a very hard journey. I think I made it a lot harder by leaving the States. Everything over there was very positive, very encouraging. I was getting work with National Geographic with the orangutan film. I then came to England, where it's very much a culture where you get in at the bottom and slowly work your way up. And if you don't do it that way, then you sort of bang your head against a lot of closed doors. So for me, I really set myself up by doing that. I don't regret doing that, though. I really enjoy the community over here in the film. But I would say to anyone, I think leaving your community probably does set you back as a filmmaker. It is a very hard thing, and you need every support that you can in making films. For me, I've spent many a time trying to get to commissioning editors that I probably didn't have a hope in hell of getting to. And I have started trying to reach out to the international community through the internet. And I think websites like FreeStyle Life, guys, like all the other ways of crowdfunding are really valid and really exciting in the current time. And I think they're just going to get more and more exciting, because I think anyone can pick up a camera and have a go. And I think gatekeepers will start to fall away. You won't have the curatorship through broadcasters, and I think that's really exciting. So I hope to go on and do films that I'm more excited about doing. I'm going to finish my current film, but we've also got another one in the works that will be filmed in Liberia, and that's going to be done with the University of Wisconsin. So that's a film, again, I don't have to broadcasters beginning of the making of that. That's really exciting. We'll be following an historic journey in Liberia through the eyes of a Liberian man. who's helping with development in Liberia. The subjects like that, may not be heard, had to go through mainstream media channels, and so it's really exciting to me to reach out to people like the FreeStyle Life and have a forum where we can talk about film, help get crowdfunding going, and get out there into the world and make our films, because that's what we really want to be doing. So that's one of the work I've been doing, really. I mean, I think that Outspoken is probably going to be, I won't say the hardest film. The hardest film I made was the last one, Fire in Babylon. But I think Outspoken is going to be very difficult in other ways. So I'm weaving a story between 3 now, possibly more, and people who are very much a voice for an entire nation. And I think that has to be woven into the storyline. So it is going to be a real challenge. I always aspire to making a film which makes people delve a little deeper into issues and follow through with things. Burma in particular has a lot of issues with the government, and there's a lot of activism and things that people can get involved in after the film is. It's worth looking up Generation Wave. I think with Sudan, it's worth looking up any South Sudanese NGO that is working at the moment to help build and develop South Sudan. And I hope that the film can be really active on that level of helping to make things better in the world for all the people in the film. But as far as my next film goes, I hope the Liberian film is going to really support the development of Liberia as well. And it's a little bit harder to think of that film. It's very historically based, but I'm hoping that by the time it's completed, that also will be useful for a film to show Liberia to the local people, which I've always really valued as well. But I do think that the kinds of films that I make, they won't be picked up immediately by a broadcaster. And so I think a film like this has to be made with crowdfunding, with your own money generally. And I just think it's something that everyone can get involved in. They can follow the film as we produce it, as we put it together in post-production, as we put it out into the world. We're totally looking for everybody's support and getting that out there as well, through any form of distribution through the internet or whatever works, really. Absolutely. It's a film, the last film that I worked on was, sorry. Oh, right, I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Okay, so will the film that I'm currently doing have an effect on me, and how have I got, involved and changed by that, and will it affect me in the future? This film absolutely will. My last film was a lot more personal. That was a film that found its own way into my personal life, which was probably a very strange journey, I think. This one is a lot more removed. It's taking me back to that level of culture where I feel I can step back and be the observed filmmaker a little more. But the issues that I'm dealing with, I went to Burma 7 weeks ago. I just came back from Burma, right on the cusp of the country changing from being a very closed regime to trying to open up to the world. And I mean, just to be involved in that moment of history, I mean, it's just incredible to go. I went to the opening, filmed at the opening of the NLD party headquarters, and that was an amazing thing to see. They weren't allowed to have 25 years, so a whole generation was allowed to voice their opinions. I mean, yes, it's absolutely. It makes me think that we've got to be more proactive. It makes me think the apathy I see in what we call first world cities, and that is shocking. It's upsetting, and hopefully through these films we can perhaps think a little bit differently. I'm sure I do, definitely. If people want to donate to the film, if you visit the FreeStyleLife.com website, check out the film, check out the links that are there to help donate and begin to be a part of this journey. creating a story which can make a lot of change in the world for people through using rap music, and which is a form of poetry which goes back to the beginning of time. And we're certainly going to focus on those connections back through a continuum of spoken arts. But, a form of music which is so current and so here and now that it's just important, so important. You only need to look at what's happening in Russia, the Pussy Riot girls, again, you've resistance coming out of culture and music and people stepping up and saying something. And, it's the same kind of message which we have in Outspoken, that it's a very valid way of picking up a mic and using it as a weapon to make change and transformation. So please get involved, visit the site, make donations. I'm into crowdsourcing as well. If anyone's got any help, if anyone knows of rappers who are out there who aren't being seen and heard, that would be incredible. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, please keep, visit the FreeStyle Life website and check things out and watch the progression of this film. We're going to keep putting stuff up. We're going to keep, filming, shooting, putting up links to different NGOs you can get involved with as well. And I think in that way we can all take a role in this film in a very real, take up a real position, I suppose, and be part of it. Everyone can be a little bit of a producer here, because one person can't do it, let me tell you, because I keep trying. And it is quite hard. So please visit FreeStyle Life, check out my film, check out all the other films, because there's a lot of good stuff there. And I think it's the way forward in the future, filmmakers to be seen and be heard.